All right. Hey, Shalom.
So,
Shalom. First and foremost, we want to give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rachakwadash, and double honors unto the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, as well as the men that taught them, and peace and blessings to all Joachim Odell, who pushing his word with all truth and sincerity, and as well as to all you believers out there who believe in on the gospel. And it's a couple of brothers from the Great Millstone Houston camp. I'm the brother Korah Abad. And as always, we got the beloved Elder Tazapah as well. And the Water Yahweh Bashim Yahweh for blessing us with another opportunity to come forth and bring forth the news, prophecy, that the happenings, the things that's going on within the world, the things that really matter. It's a lot that's happening in the world. It's a lot that you can hear and watch on podcasts, on YouTube, social media, but a lot of stuff don't matter. And I think you spoke about it a couple of weeks ago, Elder Tazapah at a class, one Wednesday at class, and you was like, you could read a lot of different things, get into and learn a lot of different things, but is it really edifying? Is it going to be beneficial and, help you down the road, so on and so forth, and that's what makes prophecy so important, and superior to every other thing that's going on within the world, man. Because this what really matters. This was going to have an effect on everybody's life, whether they believe it or not, whether they enter the Bible or not. You see? And so that's why it's a blessing that the Lord opened up our eyes to understand what's going on, and especially when you know the timeline and where we at within I say the biblical timeline and where we at, it's not much we waiting on. You got two major prophecies that's left to be fulfilled. And two of them, that's what we're going to talk about today. Right? But it's two major prophecies that's left to be fulfilled, and Jacob's trouble going to happen in the midst or because of these things. With the concentration camps, civil war, newly created creatures, so on and so forth. That's going to happen in the midst of these two events. And what's the two events? The MOTB being mandated, which is the RFID micro CHIP, and also World War III. And we see these things playing out. The buildup of it is happening in real life time. Real life time. But you got anything on the Tazapah?
yeah, even in the secular world, with the doomsday clock, they put it under a minute. What they put it on, they know it's close.
Mm-hmm.
They know America's destruction is close, even in the world. You know, this is Romans chapter 3, verse 3. For what if some did not believe? Shall their unbelief make the faith of Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, without effect? As you were saying, whether you believe or not, the Most High's words is coming to pass. All right. And yeah, the Most High set himself, his only begotten, and his servants, the prophets, apart from all of the bullshit with one thing. All right, his word, his prophecy. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you was going into that Tuesday. Um, ain't nothing in the Quran coming true. Ain't nothing in any of these other books you want to go into is playing out in the earth. When they want to get deep, and I've been saying this from day one, when people want to get deep, they revert to scriptures. You see Farrakhan do it all the time. I don't even know, they might well change their name. He quote more scriptures than Quran, because the scriptures is what's making sense in today's world. See, when the society was at ease, the climate was cool, people had room to act a fool and get off into mischief in the form of doctrine. And now that the society's in straits, people need answers now, because of that bullshit they was getting into, it left them confounded. So now they need answers. And like you say, we the only ones that have it, all right? And that's through the grace of Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shai. And the water to Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shai. You know, putting us ahead of the curve, you know, so we know what's going on. Because just as you just said, it's a lot going on, you know, and it's easy to get caught up. And that's why Esau got all this, you know. So he got some occupied in the Epstein files. He got some occupied in the election fraud. He got some occupied in this. The war with Iran. People got it's a lot to occupy people's mind. But, you know, not to toot our horns, but to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai. All right. We can put it all together. But, you know, and give it to you in one comprehensive package so that you can make sense of the world that you're living in. Because ain't nobody else can do this. Apostle Tahar just did a video, we the top teachers in this earth. Now deal with that. You got it, brother.
Con, I got man, I got two of them, and then we can hop into it. I want to give this one first because the word is speaking right now. No other religion, no other book, no other so-called God, because every other God outside of the Heavenly Father, Yahweh and Yahweh Shai is idols, you know,
Hey,
but they ain't got nothing to say.
How you broke it down in camp? I believe that was you
Shit,
going into. Yeah, shit. I can't remember exactly how you worded it, but right. Ain't nobody going in these other books. But you got it right.
And the thing is, even if they do, right, other books do have things about history. You see, other books do have certain things about you know, the past or you know, secular history, but no other book out there, so-called religion, tell you about things that's literally playing out in our time, and you can see it playing out. Like when we go through these, Lord willing, you know, everything come together. But 2nd Ezra 15, and that might be a house scripture too. Other times apart, that's 2nd Ezra 15.
That's all
you know,
you.
14 and 15. You know,
right.
the uprising. That's like every week now. But
yeah,
now,
that's all you, brother. Every week.
And it's so cold because it's the last two prophecies that's going to cause the uprising. It's going to be World War III in verse 14 and verse 15, and people go get tired of the government. And that's two topics we're going to talk about tonight, Lord willing, man. It's happening. So that's why I want to get this Habakkuk 2 and verse 1. Now this Habakkuk responding to the Lord, or waiting for the Lord to respond. It says, and I will stand upon my watch and set me upon the tower, and I will watch to see what he will say unto me, and what I shall answer when I'm reproved. And the Lord answered me and said, write the vision and make it plain upon tables, that he may run that readeth it. And the prophets of old, our forefathers, they wrote the visions that they seen down, dreams that they seen down. And now the Lord have woken up those prophets today, starting with the apostles, the bishops, the elders, and brothers of great millstone, you know, and anybody else who teach the likewise doctrine, you know, as they've been pushing the word, man. So now what happened? The word spread that he made, that it says that he may run that readeth it. And when you go into the ancient world, you had a, you know, in modern times, we'll call it, you know, we got post office. But I remember when I was little, you still had the boys riding on the bike, throwing out the newspapers, you know. But they was riding around, going door to door, passing out the news. And so whatever was happening in the neighborhood, the town, it was spreading. The same way with us today. We taking what these ancient prophets wrote in ancient times and making it easy to be understood in modern times. And now the word have spread. Look at it now. And like Yahweh Shai said in Matthew 24, when this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world for a witness unto all nations, then shall the end come. But this the point. It says, for the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come. It will not tarry. And it's happening, man. Nobody can deny that the Bible is playing out. And soon nobody can say that the Bible is just a book of stories. Man, they're going to see. But I want to get this real quick. I don't know if you had some other times, Paul.
Are you good?
Because you was going into how the Lord have to give men his wisdom. You know, it started with the apostles, you know, the bishops, and you know, so on and so forth. But to really know what's going on in the world, everybody got a Bible. Everybody have a Bible. You see, that's the most sold book in world history. Everybody have one, but do people really understand it? This Wisdom of Solomon 9 and verse 16, it says, and hardly do we guess aright at things that are upon earth, and with labor do we find the things that are before us, but the things that are in heaven who have searched out. So even on earth, like the angel asked Esdras a couple of things about fire and wind and different things that we see on a day-to-day basis. And Esdras said, I don't know. Well, the angel said, well, how you going to want to know about things in the heavens if you can't tell me about things you've seen since you been growing up? So the same for us, when Esau, when he found out different things in the sea, in the earth and these mountains, he got to do heavy research on that. And he barely touching the surface. But the point is, we have to find things on earth and study and research and dig up things. Verse 17 says, and thy counsel, talking about the Heavenly Father, and thy counsel who have known, except thou give wisdom and send thy Holy Spirit from above. And that's how we're able to understand what's going on. the Lord opened up our eyes to, and we now know, like, now we living in one Babylon the Great, the place missiles gonna hit. Missiles about to hit. Everybody about to get tempted. The so-called white man about to force everybody to take an MOTB. It's about to be chaos, so on and so forth. We now don't see that. Without the Lord calling us to the truth, we probably would have been focused on football and basketball and March Madness and all these different things of the world, not really seeing what's happening around us. But now we do. You see, but you got Elder Taza Power. If not, we'll hop into it.
Yeah, no, we good. It just give a shout out to the Akyam and the Aquas. Shalom to you all, and to Water for joining us, and we can get it crunk, bro.
Yeah, brothers got some heat. We had to hit that, but let's hop into it. So we'll start with the first one, and as you see from the title, it says Thursday live update, which you will have some skirmishes happening with the U.S., the small hats, and Iran. Which gonna be a big escalation to World War III. So we'll hop into it. End Time Headlines, the first article put out on the 18th, yesterday. It says Trump could make decision on military strikes in Iran soon. The U.S. military ready to launch attack by weekend. Now, you got to remember last week we spoke about how Benjamin Netanyahu, not a, Jew, but anyway, how he came to America. He pulled up on Trump, pulled up to the White House, and he told him what he had to tell him. We need help. And what they said, if you don't help us, we're going to do it on our own. Now, a couple of days later, America, they saying, well, Iran, we're going to strike y'all then. So the least of the flock shall draw them out. The least of the flock shall draw them out. Now, again, Yahushua said, it's going to be wars and rumors of wars. This is just a rumor, man. You know how we know it's just a rumor? And they might not really be about. Now, something may happen. I'm not saying that Lord willing to do, but this not going to be an event to start World War III and like next week, ICBMs flying. Because you got to remember, it's things that still got to take place. 2 Ezra 4 and 37. If a brother want to put that in a chat, right? Because according to Ezekiel 38, is Russia gonna help Iran? And we got some news on that because Russia did respond to America's threats, right? But we know this not gonna be the very event. This is wars and rumors of wars, the build up to the very event, right? So let's read a little bit of it. And let me know if you got anything out of Tazapa.
All right.
It says President Donald Trump is reportedly considering authorizing U.S. military strikes against Iran as early as this coming weekend, according to U.S. officials cited by the Times of Israel. Top national security advisors have informed Trump that American forces could be prepared to launch strikes on Iranian targets, though a final decision has not been made, and a timeline may extend beyond this weekend's potential window. And we know, again, 2 Ezra 9 say it's going to be unstable leaders in this time. And we know Trump all over the place. So he might just be bluffing again. Or we going to see if they really do something. It says the buildup of U.S. military assets in the Middle East, including significant naval and Air Force deployments, reflects an administration preparing for multiple outcomes. Diplomacy or military engagement, depending on how the standoff evolves. Reports suggest that the Pentagon planners have briefed the White House on a range of options, with advisors pointing to a readiness to conduct strikes that could target Iran's nuclear infrastructure and other military capabilities. While some officials believe the best path remains negotiation, others see kinetic options as increasingly viable if Tehran fails to make concession in the coming days. So, in other words, America they throwing out threats. And I read this one. This was put out yesterday too. It says, "And Israel on high alert as officials assesses imminent U.S. strike on Iran." Now, I seen some other stuff too, but Israel now they already plan a victim. Nothing even happened yet. They already plan a victim. It was something else. I seen a video or something how Israel could use this to say, well, since Iran, they think America go help us, they might strike first. You know, they might hit us first, so we might have to hit them. So let's read a little bit. It says officials in Israel and the U.S. are on heightened alert amid assessments that U.S. President Donald Trump may soon authorize a broad military strike on Iran. The article noted that the Israeli Security Cabinet meeting was postponed to avoid an Iranian miscalculation. It says, even as emergency services, defense agencies have been placed on the highest alert and amid intensifying regional tensions. It says sources cited in the Ynet news report indicate that Tehran's failure to satisfy the U.S. demands in ongoing negotiations has led U.S. officials to believe Iran is attempting to buy time and mislead Washington. It says a diplomatic source quoted by Al Jazeera suggested that American patience with Iranian delays may run out faster than Tehran thinks. And this is the last line, and we can move on. It says, and Israeli authorities reportedly expect potential missile retaliation from Iran, regardless of whether the Israel Defense Forces participate directly in any U.S. strikes. So Israel already trying to play the victim. They said, well, they're going to hit us even if we ain't involved. So some got to happen out of this. You got anything on the times apart? If not, I'll read this last one.
Yeah, I'll bring this out. This is let's see here.
Let me check the comment.
All right, this is Joel chapter 3, verse 1. For behold, in those days and in that time, when I shall bring again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem, which is saying when he delivers us. Verse 2, I will also gather all nations and will bring them down into the valley of Yahweh-Shaphat. All right, as you can see, Jehoshaphat, but that's an English transliteration of the word Yahweh-Shaphat. All right, which that word means, which is also a name. That name means Yahweh, that's the Heavenly Father's name, and Shaphat is judgment or decision. So it says, yeah, I will bring them down into the valley of Yahweh-Shaphat and will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage, Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations and parted my land. All right. So the nations are being gathered. All right. Because with this, all right, the U.S. is sending, I heard they sending another air carrier. All right. They already sent the Gerald Ford, which is the U.S. largest air carrier, to the Persian Gulf. And now they sending another one and all types of other military equipment. They going to war. All right. There's no two ways about it. All right, I'm going to jump down to verse 9. This is Joel 3 and 9. Proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, prepare war. Wake up the mighty men. Let all the men of war draw near. Let them come up. All right, so and we proclaim that among the Gentiles. When that's being proclaimed among the nations, they getting ready for war. All right. But yeah, prepare war. And so the mighty men are waking up, the men of war drawing near. It says, verse 10, beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong. And so nations are preparing. The plowshares and pruning hooks are instruments for agriculture. You can only cultivate the land when the land is at peace. So we see in the contrast, it's saying beat your plowshares into swords to get ready for war. So it ain't no need to, farm and you go into war because the enemy gonna, be bombing. And so it said, beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. All right. Let the weak say, I am strong. And you got these countries beefing up their defense budgets. All right. Taken from, agriculture department, taken from other departments to beef up the military. They're preparing for war. All right. And this is affecting because we know this from Ezekiel 38, and we see it now. We see it that Russia is allied with Persia. So this, attack on Iran is going to affect Russia, is going to affect China. All right. And this is why they also are preparing for war. This is the world is preparing for war. All right. And again, I don't hear nobody else coming out of any other books telling you this. But let me read 11. Assemble yourselves and come, all ye heathen, and gather yourselves together round about. Thither cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Lord. All right. Let the heathen be wakened and come up to the valley of Yahweh Shaphat. All right. The valley of the Most High's decision or his judgment. It says, for there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about. So, right, this is all coming together to take place to judge the nations.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So that the nation of Israel can be brought to prominence. But you got it out.
Kind of that's it. And I hit this last one that we can go into the next topic. But as you just said, Russia, they're gonna come to the defense of Iran, or formerly known as Persia, in the scriptures. And not
Yeah,
just
well,
Russia.
Salaki, I should have said Ra'ashar, all right, the chief prince, all right, Gog in the land of Magog, right, Russia, or Ra'ashar in the Paleo. Ra'ash is head, Shar is prince. That's chief prince.
Mm-hmm.
But you got it out.
Yep. Ezekiel 38. That's what prove it. But I'll read this real quick because after Trump said what he had to say in Washington, shooting out threats towards Iran, that's what Russia had to say, put out yesterday. It says Russia's Lavrov warns against any new U.S. strike on Iran. It says Russia Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov have publicly caution against any new U.S. military strikes on Iran, saying such action could have serious consequences and urging a focus on diplomatic solutions. The remarks were made in an interview released by Lavrov's ministry on Wednesday amid rising tensions between Tehran and Washington. It says in the interview, he underscored his concern over previous attacks on Iranian nuclear sites, noting the potential for unseen and dangerous outcomes. So he also said right here, and negotiated settlements that respects Iran's rights under the nuclear non-proliferation treaty. So in other words, respect what them people got going, leave them alone. So, but again, we'll see what's going to happen from that. I'll get one off the comment board real quick. This is from Kawas Malak. It says, if I'm saying that right, if I'm not Salak, it says Matthew 24:6. and ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. And that's what we seeing. It says, see that you be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. And it's in the scripture somewhere, I believe it's Isaiah, how it says it's going to be rumors 1 year, and then another year, another rumor, and then another year, another rumor, and then eventually all hell going to break loose. That's all we waiting on. And again, the all things are in place for that very event to happen. Matter of fact, I get this since we hear second Ezra 4:37 real quick. By measure have he measured the times, talking about the Heavenly Father. It says, and by number have he numbered the times, and he doeth not move nor stir them until the said measure be fulfilled. So in other words, we ain't just gonna skip to World War III without the MOTB being mandated, right? We ain't just gonna see Leviathan just pop up tomorrow, and just regular people still driving to work and all hand break. He just popped up. You see, no, things got to happen first. So that's what we seeing. If two people out there, your coworkers, your family, they may see an article and just hit X, just close it out because they don't think it's important, or because it's overseas and ain't got nothing to do with them. But we see the build up to these very events. So when the event happened and the real deal thing take place, we won't be caught off guard because we followed the build up the whole time. But that was it on that. So if you ain't had nothing else on the World War III update, we can hit this next info, which is it says the Epstein effect, technocracy. Right now, we watched Elder Yashawama video earlier, which is a fire video. Matter of fact, I'll put it in the chat right now. But it's a good video, and he was going into some information. And we got the article pulled up, and we'll go ahead and play it because it got the audio on the article, right? We'll go ahead and play it after I play a couple minutes of the Yashawama video. But his was put out 18 hours ago. Remnant Save 144. The title was News and Prophecy. 2 horns like a lamb and spake as a dragon. Right now, there's one point in here that he gonna show this article, which is right here, about how it says the Epstein effect, say goodbye to globalization and hello to technocracy. And when I seen this morning, the first thing I thought, I even told you that other times about, the first thing I thought about is what you've been saying. The past couple of weeks, you've been saying it's more to the Epstein files, right? It's more to it. And not just saying this very thing, what we're about to touch on is the only reason the Epstein files was brought out. But it's more than just it. And Elder Yashawama said the same thing in his video as well. But it's more than just exposing Esau, because they ain't really telling everything anyway. And even the files they let out to the public, most of it is blacked out. You can't even see faces. You don't even see no names and emails. A lot of it is still blacked out. But the point is, this situation can be used for a lot of more other things, like we're going to touch on this one, because we have already been seeing within America, especially, and also the world, but especially within America, people starting to distrust the government. It was one time in America, like, when we was like in 4th, 5th grade, and you had the you did the fake election, you class president, vice president. People really believed in the leaders at one point in time. I remember Obama got elected. He was the president. I was really like, wow, man, like, bro, we made it. Like, we was a kid. I was a kid at the time. But the point is, we really believed in these officials and what they said in the government, and they had, the people best interests at heart. But now we starting to see that has been a change in people attitudes towards presidents and vice presidents and governors and mayors. They don't really respect them no more. And look at all the stuff that's been coming out before the Epstein files. Now that this have taken place, this gonna go more into the people wanting to follow a man like Trump, people who involved in PDF files and getting caught in traffic, if you get what I'm saying. So eventually, let's go turn into, and what everybody do nowadays, everybody talk to ChatGPT and AI overview already anyway, every day, all day, and they take their advice. Even shit, we do sometimes. We read some things, or we might be fixing something on a call, we hit the ChatGPT. Everybody already take advice. You see, and look to what AI say before somebody like Trump. Them people being laughed at right now. You know, so now this could be, again, the Epstein files. It's going to be used for a whole lot more, right? Never let a good crisis go to waste, right? But the thing is, this is one of the things, the effects it can have, turning people against government rule, which is 2 Ezra 15, and going towards that digital rule, man, Revelation 13 as well. But if I don't know if you had some other times of pop before we play the vids.
Okay, you can go ahead and get into it.
So this from Elder Yashawam, I'll play a little bit of it.
Right, say to hell with the government. And who's going to be at the forefront of that? All right, these are red-blooded American Edomites, when they find out, all right, which they are finding out, all right, that Trump, all right, is doing the bidding of the oligarchs. Okay? This thing goes deep.
Resources, sure, it could be about China, Russia.
Now, the title of this video that the Elder Yashawama playing is from the Jimmy Dore Show, and the title is Tech's Takeover of America Plan Revealed. Now, we ain't gonna play that video, but we're gonna play it from his.
All those kind of reasons they're telling us, but it also just seems to coincidentally fit with this plan of the Tech Native America, which was proposed by technocrats, 90 years ago, and Trump is basically working with those people. So I don't really see how. I think it's at least something that deserves our attention. And I heard what you were saying with Thomas Massey and sort of the befuddlement that a lot of people have with watching Trump sell out his own base and his own movement. And it is my belief that this has all been kind of game the whole time. And, when the election was happening last year, I was warning people about the Zionist and technocrat connections surrounding Trump, and kind of warning, but also hoping I was wrong, that this is exactly what we would see. And I think from day one, whether you're talking about the Stargate project or any number of other things Trump's done in the last year, it's becoming clear that he is working with these people. He is not getting rid of the Bilderbergers and the WEFs and the young global leaders. He's working with them directly, even if he talked.
And he came in talking about taking them down, exposing them. Well, he's working for them because he's under blackmail. He's a puppet set up to forward their bidding, man, and to further get you people invested, angry, revved up, all right, to believe in the system, right? And again, the two horns like a lamb. You again, the left stunk up the field. Now you have the right. Pretty soon, people are going to say, man, to hell with this government. All of this is being done on purpose. Synonymously, the wicked is being revealed, but synonymously, he's moving forward with his plan. See, I asked here, all right, how could the left-right paradigm lead to tyranny? That's a sharp question. The left-right political paradigm, progressive versus conservative camps, can look like balance, but it can also become a trap that paves the way to tyranny if people aren't careful.
Right, now I'm gonna jump up a little bit and let the rest of this vid play. I think you'll play it a little bit more.
Of America Plan Revealed, all right, on the Jimmy Dore Show. Let's keep listening to a little bit more of this and we're going to move on.
Talks a big game, in front of the cameras.
Do you find it as stunning as I do that a big part of his following who are specifically opposed to everything you just said, the globalists, the WEF, the techno-feudal lords, the whole that they're just going along with him blindly as if you're supposed to be loyal to Trump no matter what he does, even if he does the exact opposite of what they wanted him to do? I'm actually shocked.
Yeah, well, I wish I could say I was shocked. I mean, obviously it's demoralizing, Jimmy. I mean, I've been called black-pilled and negative and, liar, all the sorts of names in the book because MAGA, I will credit those who have woken up, and I've talked to many people who said, look, I voted for Trump 3 times, but I can't believe what he's doing. So it seems like some of the base is definitely recognizing and seeing these things, but you're correct. There are definitely quite a bit of people who I think they've never understood from the beginning that it's supposed to be about principles, not party or not a person. So if you have principles, whether that's America first or whatever it may be, you stick with those principles. And if the person you supported who claimed to uphold those principles sells them out and literally does the exact opposite, you don't hold on to the person, you hold on to the principle, you get rid of the party, you get rid of the person, and you stick to your principles because you know that's what's right. And unfortunately, we live in a world in the political realm where there is a huge lack of principles among the politicians, of course, but they unfortunately get lots of their followers to abandon their principles as well. And I think that's just, it's kind of an underlying issue in all of our political world here, is that people need to recognize that, at least in my view, that I don't think any of these parties, any of these individuals, whoever pops up next, even if it's Massey, he's a great guy. If he runs in 2028 or 2032, I don't think the political system can be saved when both sides are clearly working together in order to bring about these generations old plans. It doesn't mean things are hopeless, but I do think we need to start looking elsewhere besides failed politics.
Right? Failed politics. Looking elsewhere. Now we're gonna go ahead and play this one. It's from www.technocracy news. Technocracy.news. And it says the Epstein effect, which is where we got that title from. It says, say goodbye to globalization and hello to technocracy. Now I got this pulled up on ChatGPT real quick, just in case some may not know. It says, what is technocracy? It says technocracy is a system of government or social organization where technical experts, now as we read this, think about what's been happening, especially during Trump inauguration. The first people he brought out was most of the people was the people we reading about right here.
Right.
They already do
it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you got it.
Yep, they already doing it in people's face. It says technocracy is a system of government or social organization where technical experts, and that's in bold too. ChatGPT put it in bold. Technical experts, scientists, engineers, economists, data specialists make decisions instead of elected politicians. And we always play this video. Remember, Klaus Schwab said a couple years ago, the time coming where it ain't gonna be no elections. It ain't gonna be no need for no elections because we gonna already know what's coming. And Trump even said a couple months ago, that he was trying to get the people revved up. He was like, yeah, midterms or whatever. He was like, yeah, vote for me. This is gonna be the last time. We played that video a couple weeks ago. He like, this is the last time, last election. And they cheering, and that just passed by people. What you mean last election? The point is things about to change. They don't need you to go vote because your vote never counted anyway. But now they're about to let you know that your vote don't count. And they don't care.
Yeah. If you watch that clip, he said, we're gonna fix it. We're gonna fix it, and this will be the last time you'll have to vote. He said, we're gonna fix it. So
That's right.
And now all this election fraud shit is coming out right before, they got the midterms, maybe 6 months, 8 months, 8-9 months from now, they got these midterms. But they bringing out all this stuff from the 2020 election and talking about all these, I forget how they worded it, non-certified votes in Fulton County, and there's a lot of fraud with the machines, the Dominion, and all of that. So right, they already steering it towards a peopleless government. All right, but you got it, Doc.
Yeah, that's it. I'll read a little bit more going into what technocracy means, and we'll play this video or this audio here in a few. But again, it says, in simple terms, instead of rule by politicians, democracy or kings, monarchy is ruled by experts. I want to get a quick precept. Second Esdras 9. Real quick. The second Esdras 9:1. Now, when you go into this in second Esdras 8, because it's an ongoing conversation, and Esdras asked the Lord, he said, look, well, he told the Lord, he said, you showed me all the things that was going to happen in the end, pretty much Jacob's trouble. He said, but exactly what time they're going to happen? Esdras, our forefather, he wanted to know the year, the exact season. He wanted to know the details. And this the Lord's response in chapter 9, verse 1. It says in the GNT, he answered, consider all these things very carefully. So this is the answer. So in other words, the Lord said, I ain't going to tell you the exact day. You got to look for the signs that I gave you. The point is, we seeing all these signs. It says, he answered and said, consider all these things very carefully. When you see that some of the signs I have told you about have appeared, you will know that the time has come when the Most High will begin to bring judgment on the world he has created. This is the signs. There will be earthquakes. We're seeing that. National rebellions. We've been seeing that. International intrigues. And I like that one because what's the main thing that the nations are intrigued by now? digital systems, going digital. And that's the main drive right now. But what's something else, right? It says, and unstable leaders and confused rulers. And this is part of the reason why the citizens going to be tired of those who govern over them. Because they finding out they wicked, right? They unfair, right? And the life is being made harder, and they being made rich, more richer. And that's when we'll get in a few, 2 Ezra 15. Eventually, people will go get tired of it and revolt, man.
Yep.
And it says, you about to say something?
No, go ahead.
Kind of says, and when you see these things happening, you will know that they are what the Most High has spoken about since the beginning of creation. All right, so let's go ahead and play this real quick. Just wanted to get that. We're in a time where we see confused rulers, unstable leaders. Anything will be said and done at any time. And what they telling the people out there, it ain't the truth. I don't care if people do like Trump. He lied to the Magites out there, and they really still believe him. But anyway, you know, because Elder Taza Pop, man, you touched on that. We did a whole lesson on it, a Thursday live on it, but we mention it every so often about the Illuminati game cards. In the Illuminati game cards, you had this leader. He was the first card about him, he was a charismatic leader. He had the blonde hair, and the white dude in the suit. Everybody loved him. But then the next card about him, what it said again? The next card?
The other one was enough is enough.
Enough is enough. And his face looked just like, let me see if I can pull that up.
Yeah.
Anyway, let me see. I got it. Let me see. Enough is enough. Illuminati game card. Here it is. Let me see if I can find a charismatic leader too.
Yeah, that one, the enough is enough. It's got his back turned, huh?
All right, here it is. Now enough is enough with his face showing. See, that's spiritual, because the charismatic leader, his back to him.
Oh, that's okay.
But the enough is enough. He's showing his face. He really showing his horns. But so let me blow this up. Check this out. So this Trump right here. This the charismatic leader one. It says this card can be played at any time and counts as the action for the group it affects. The increased power takes effect immediately. Right? And then it got the number 6 in there, increased to 6. So, but that's the charismatic leader. Everybody and all of them, look, let me blow it up. Look, they mouth open. Look, that's Magites right there. Look, mouth open.
Yep.
That's MAGA. That's MAGA. But now let's see the other card about him. Check this one out. Now enough is enough. If a brother can post that Revelation 13, now he's speaking as a dragon. Now it's the one. You can't say that ain't Trump.
Yeah,
if not wearing, who else this card gonna be? But it says enough is enough.
That go back to 96. $1996.
Man. And it says Salaka, you got it.
No, you good.
Salaka. It says at any time and at any place, our snipers can drop you. Have a nice day. Right, enough is enough. It says play this card on your own turn before drawing any plots. You may remove all zap, paralysis, or attribute freeze cards. Man, check this out. I gotta read this again. Check this out. Enough is enough. Watch what it's saying. Play this card on your own turn before drawing any plots. You may remove, keyword remove, all zap, paralysis, or attribute freeze cards that are affecting your power structure. So anybody against the NWO, you gotta go. You gotta go. That's a title right there. Anybody against the NWO, you gotta go. This Revelation 13, real quick, if you don't mind. And verse, I'm gonna start at 15, get straight to the point. I'm gonna start at 14. And deceive them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast. And we about to see even more miracles that America, in this beast system about to try to do in the sight of these people. And the MOTB gonna be the main event. That's gonna be the main one. But technology, you know, you got the brain chips where people can walk and talk and do all these different things. You can buy and sell and get past hacking with the C-hip in your hand. It seemed like miracles, but it's going to lead to everybody being entrapped within that beast system. It says, and deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, right? In everyday life, as society goes on, in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image to the beast which had a wound by the sword and did live. Everybody go get down. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. And that's that card right there. When enough is enough. And we see in Esau, Revelation 12, we know he got a short time and Trump the man. He the man on the card. So anybody not going to get down with this NWO going to be cast out of society. And what's going to be the main thing that's going to determine if you're going to be cast out of society or not? Let's read verse 16. And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark. Charagma. No, it's charagma. I gotta say that every time. Hey, Bishop Nate. It says to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. That's the MOTB, which is the RFID micro C-hip. This is going to be the determining factor on if people going to get cast out of society or not. And there's going to be other things like the social credit score, and it's going to start off with a CBDC. And it says, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. But you got anything, this has a power?
No, I ain't got nothing.
Okay, so we can go back and play this real quick. But that's set the stage, those precepts for what we about to touch on. And we really done with the articles. We just got videos for y'all. But it says the Epstein effect. Say goodbye to globalization and hello to technocracy. I'm gonna play this article.
Technocracy News and Trends is the authoritative source of information about technocracy on the internet. I'm Patrick Wood, Editor-in-Chief. Here is the title of this story. The Epstein Effect. Say Goodbye to Globalization. Hello to Technocracy by Patrick.
Salaki, I want to read this. Salaki, forgive me. I'm going to go back to it. It ain't going to be long. But what does technocracy mean? It says core idea. A technocracy believes society should be run based on scientific knowledge, data, and measurable outcomes, technical efficiency, and expertise in specific fields. It says, example, in a technocratic system, an economist would manage national financial policy, engineers would design and regulate infrastructure, public health scientists would control health policy, and AI data analysts might help shape laws based on analytics. And the point is, we're seeing all that happen. When Trump got in office, all these people became important. All these tech giants became important. Yep. Bill Gates now got a voice. He telling you health. You see, Dr. Oz, he telling you to take a chip under your hand. See, all these tech giants and people to forward his infrastructure have been put in place already. Now I go back to it. Salaki, I just want to kind of get more information on the definition of technocracy. So that's going to be mentioned from here on out.
Technocracy News and Trends is the authoritative source of information about technocracy on the internet. I'm Patrick Wood, Editor-in-Chief. Here is the title of this story. The Epstein Effect. Say Goodbye to Globalization. Hello to Technocracy by Patrick Wood. The Epstein files come at an opportune time, A, to drive the nail into the coffin of globalization, and B, destroy all confidence in government. The vacuum will be filled by technocracy. Will arrest warrants be issued? Not likely. Will the scandals of Hello to Technocracy by Patrick Wood. The Epstein files come at an opportune time, A, to drive the nail into the coffin of globalization, and B, destroy all confidence in government. The vacuum will be filled by technocracy. Will arrest warrants be issued? Not likely. Will the scandals eventually be forgotten? Yes, but only after most people whose anger runs hot will throw up their hands at the political system altogether, for good. Simply put, the old New World Order is over, handing the reins over to the New World Order, aka Technocracy. You don't have to look at the particulars of the Epstein files to see what is going on. When Zbigniew Brzezinski wrote Between Two Ages, America's Role in the Technotronic Era, he was speaking about 3 ages. The first era lay behind, which he said was full of religious myths. He was living the second era, which has persisted until just recently. The third technotronic era is dawning right now. The technocracy movement has always had murderous intent to do away with all politicians and political systems. It was baked into their definition in the 1930s. Technocracy is the science of social engineering, the scientific operation of the entire social mechanism to produce and distribute goods and services to the entire population. For the first time in human history, it will be done as a scientific, technical engineering problem. There will be no place for politics, politicians, finance or financiers, rackets or racketeers. Technocracy will distribute by means of a certificate of distribution available to every citizen from birth to death. The Technocrat, 1937. The United Nations had murderous intent to destroy the economic system. This is the first time in the history of mankind that we are setting ourselves the task of intentionally, within a defined period of time, to change the economic development model that has been reigning for at least 150 years.
Within a short period of time, they're trying to change this whole model that they have been doing for the longest. And that's a part of 2nd Esdras 15. I'm going to let it play some more. And we're going to play 2 more videos, but that's a part of 2nd Esdras 15. They forgetting a legitimate government, things that's been set in place to move forward to this digital system. Man, we really like seeing the Bible speak. For those of us in the know, it's happening, it's speaking. And this was put out February 12th, a couple of days ago, 2026. It's speaking. I'll go ahead and play it though.
This is the first time in the history of mankind that we are setting ourselves the task of intentionally, within a defined period of time, to change the economic development model that has been reigning for at least 150 years since the Industrial Revolution. This is probably the most difficult task we have ever given ourselves, which is to intentionally transform the economic development model for the first time in human history. Figuris, February 2015 press conference. Emphasis added. Intention, timetable, ability, and action spell conspiracy. 3 years ago, a trilateral commission member declared that 2023 was year 1 of the commission's new international economic order. After that, trilateral Keir Starmer, UK Premier, says that globalization is over and we are now in a new era. If you can't or won't accept the testimony of all these sources, then you will never understand the big picture. For nearly a century, the builders of today's technocrat class have articulated a technocratic replacement for traditional politics, and we are now living through that transition. The Epstein files, in that frame, are not the core of the story, but a delegitimizing accelerant to it. And it is no small detail that Jeffrey Epstein was, himself, a member of the Trilateral Commission.
Right. So again, as we said, it's not the core of the story, these whole files, but see what it's being used for? Distrust within the government, man. You had anything on that, Adotazapa?
No, not yet.
I put this in on ChatGPT, and I just put well, not on ChatGPT, on Google, and AI overview popped up with this because I was trying to find another article or something else to kind of link with that. It says distrust in government can lead to technocracy. And AI overview says distrust in government often drives a shift towards technocracy as citizens dissatisfied with political gridlock and incompetence, confused rulers and unstable leaders, it's who I'll be PG-13 and who number 2 themselves, right? And incompetence. It says the distrust in government often drives a shift towards technocracy as citizens, dissatisfied with political gridlock and incompetence, favor decision-making by elected experts over elected officials. This and unelected experts is people like, again, Bill Gates and the people at the World Economic Forum and so on and so forth. It says this trend.
You good. Go ahead.
It says this trend reflects a desire for efficient, data-driven governance, but risk undermining democratic accountability by transferring power to specialized agencies. And it goes into certain things. But let's go ahead and play this video. Now, this is from rumble.com. The page is The War Against You. This was put out a couple of days ago. It says the final betrayal, the coming AI digital gulag or gulag, dark enlightenment, technocracy, and AI governance. I'll play a couple minutes.
A simulacra of Earth. So they believe that they're going to achieve godlike status, and they will recreate and terraform Earth into a simulacra.
And gulag means, it says it could be a prison camp. So in other words, a digital prison.
Mm-hmm.
And they believe this will bring about a utopia. Of course, anybody who has read their Bible knows that you can't bring.
So like, I want to get this real quick. I skipped over this. It's 2 Ezra 15. And it's in a GNT. This is show that's this Bible prophecy that once these nations start to begin World War III, they're gonna also forget about the old governing systems. You know, as we read, and that's gonna lead us into these next two videos, right? As World War III about to start, and this is Bible prophecy, and we seen this happen as World War III is about to start. The nation's gonna stop worrying about the old way of doing things, right? The Constitution. They're gonna stop worrying about the dollar. They're gonna stop playing fair, in other words. And then they go begin a fight to see who will be the leader of a new system, to gain control of a new system. And at this very time, that's when people gonna lose their minds. And we in that very moment right now. World War III is happening. We just got some updates on that. We see these nations saying, man, look, forget the old system. We taking it here. And because that's gonna happen, that's gonna put pressure on citizens, because the world around them go change and they're gonna get tired of it. The 2 Ezra 15 and 14 in the GNT, it says the world and the people in it are doomed. The war that will bring their destruction is very near. What is that? World War III. It says nations will arm themselves and fight against other nations. So as World War III is about to take place, because it says they're going to arm themselves, this also was going to be happening at the same time. And there will be great political turmoil with one group trying to overpower another and gain control while ignoring the legitimate government. And when you look into what's a legitimate government, in other words, that is a government that was sure, it was built on rules and standards and, and laws. Now, when you look at it, the government, they don't follow no laws. Again, just look at the president. You got a 34-time felon, right? He all in the Epstein files. We looked it up at Camp Elder Tyler Park Tuesday. Right. Trump was in the Epstein files. The things that's not put out to the public over 1 million times, and the things that's put out to the public, he in them over 38,000 times. Why this man ain't in jail? Why ain't that happened to him? The point is,
right. You good? You good?
Now, the point is, you seeing your government officials, they don't care about laws no more. They don't care about your constitution as the people. Look at what ICE been doing, gunning down people because you videoing them. They don't care about that. Everybody going digital. And what that's going to lead to, that's going to lead to all chaos breaking loose. We see the two main ingredients, or the two main prophecies that we need before the Lord come back, taking place right now. That's in verse 15 and 16, World War III, and the nations fight for the digital system. Now, as we read on, this how the people go respond to all these things happening, war and a digital system coming. I'm gonna read 16 again. It says, there will be great political turmoil with one group trying to overpower another and gain control while ignoring the legitimate government. So because that's happening, it says, and there will be no longer free access to the cities. Because that's the reason why it ain't gonna be free access to the cities. Because the struggle for power, because nations gonna be fighting to see who gonna rule this digital system. Laws gonna change quick. right? Things gonna be mandated in real lifetime. It says because the struggle for power will bring destruction, terror, and total confusion wherever people live. Driven, it says, and driven by famine and terrible suffering. Time's about to get hard for a lot of people. Why? Because you got World War III starting, and the nation's fighting to see who's gonna lead this digital system. And because of that, you're gonna have different skirmishes and wars and missiles flying and drones shot down. The economy gonna change around you because they forcing a digital system. Prices gonna
Oh
shoot
yeah,
up.
with
Inflation, hyperinflation. You got it.
I forgot the situation with Iran. They closing off the Strait of Hormuz.
Mm.
And so that's going to affect oil prices because if they can't use that strait, they're going to have to take another route, which is going to make prices of oil go up. So yeah, it's a lot of blowback going to come from this and add to the tensions that's already explosive. But yeah, you had reminded me of that. You got it.
Con, and I see in the chat, the elder Hawad, he said, Shalom.
Shalom, Mike.
He said, can you put the link in the chat? I'm not sure which link, Zaquan, you talking about. If I don't know if it was this one, this article. If so, I just put it up in there for you. But if this not the one, let me know. Let me know which one, and I got you. But right, I'm gonna hit this again. And the second Ezra 15 and 17, it says, so because a digital system about to come in World War III about to start, it says there will no longer be free access to the cities, right? Checkpoints, troops, because the struggle for power will bring destruction, terror, and total confusion wherever people live. Driven by, which means because, driven by famine and terrible suffering, people will assault their neighbors and mercilessly plunder their possessions. All hell gonna break loose because these two main prophecies is on its way. And then once all hell break loose, that's when the MOTB most likely gonna be mandated, and eventually the missiles gonna be shot off. So really, all things are happening as we see.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm gonna go ahead and play these last two videos again. Revelation 12. Esau don't got long. Okay, Khan. He said, yeah, that's the one. Okay, Khan. Cool.
We already know the elites, these politicians and stuff. They looted the country. All right, just like they did or are doing in Minnesota. It's 12 billion come up missing to them. Was it the what's them people like Slovakia? The Somalis. And they trying to fly the money out the country. One of them got caught at the airport with like 85 racks in the in the suitcase, and 850 racks, Salakia, 850 racks in the suitcase. They try and get the money out, take it back to Somalia. But right, they've looted the country. So now what they're doing through ICE is taking the people to war. And they're gonna put all these laws into effect to, to suffocate the people, back them into a corner, and then Esau, he already, a lot of you Edomites, they're just gonna take one more what they say, the straw that broke the camel's back. One more piece of straw. And they ready to go off. Because like you say, they feel betrayed. The MAGA Edomites. A lot of them, they looking at us and they like, damn, why these niggas ain't struggling like we struggling? So we been struggling. We done perfected the art of the struggle. So right now it's some jakes catching hell, but it's some jakes, we just cruising through this so far. And we know it's gonna get rough, but you got Edomites that's catching hell. They crying on videos and stuff. They catching hell. And they gonna get sick of this shit. And they got guns. And they don't give a damn. They don't have that, the scripture don't ask, is Edom a homeborn slave? They don't have that mentality. Like Jake. So they'll die for, you know, when they say you could take my gun out of my cold dead hands, they mean that. And so, as I said, that this creates a explosive atmosphere here in the U.S., but it's also all around the world, you know. But yeah, this is right quick. Psalm 73. I'm gonna start at 3. It says, "For I was envious at the foolish when I saw the prosperity of the wicked." All right, the wicked are prospering, you know. And you see, you know, all the stuff that come out with Jeffrey Epstein. The world was his oyster for real.
Mm-hmm.
When when you got receipts on some of the world's most powerful people, you can do anything you want. And that's exactly what the fuck he was doing. Whatever he wanted, you know. And you see this, and it would make you envious, you know, as Asaph was saying. But he understood later on, as we now understand, all right, that this man has a judgment coming. But the point is coming up. Verse 4 says, "For there are no bands in their death, but their strength is firm." All right, you see him, he flexing right now because he in his strength. All right, he's in the fullness of his sufficiency, as Job the 20th chapter states. All right, and in verse 5, it says, "They are not in trouble as other men, neither are they plagued like other men." And they mention how, you know, something about, um, I forgot how they worded, but there'll be no prosecutions outside of Jay-Z. They gonna get Jay-Z, maybe a couple of other niggas that's in there. But right, you gonna see the Edomites like Tom Hanks, any of these others. Trump sitting up there lying. I ain't in the fire. I ain't in the fire. He just, you know, you won't see them get in trouble. All right. But they'll try to stick the face, you know, put niggas' faces up there. But anyway, that was the point right there. You got it, brother.
So we could wind it down. We got a couple minutes of 2 videos we're gonna play, but I just typed this in earlier as well. I said, what are things that can trigger civil wars, especially in America, and you know, with the current events? And I'm gonna just read the headers, and we can play the videos. And this is all what's happening. The first one is what we talking about: distrust in government. It says political legitimacy, and what it said in 2 Corinthians 15. People gonna forget about the legitimate government, right? That's the first one. Political legitimacy collapses. Done. That's happening. Scratch that off the list. 2, deep identity division. And I thought of the truth right here. It says ethnic, religious, regional. And this truth is stirring up things in the world, man. You know, the Christians all over the place, and people don't know, you know. And it says also economic class. It's a class war. The middle class being wiped out right now. And it says an
Would you say the
economic
monks
breakdown.
bugged that out?
What'd you say?
That what you say? You say the monks bugged out?
No, I didn't, but yeah, they bugged out too.
Yeah, somebody said they was at the bar partying or somewhere partying and shit. They just said, fuck it, I guess. I thought that was you had told me that. Somebody had told me.
No, but they bugged out too.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
know
they
the
was.
ones that came over here supposed to be prophesying, I guess.
Yeah, they was marching across the America or something too, huh?
Right.
Yeah,
You know,
so they just hit a ball and said, forget it.
I guess so. I forgot who was telling me that, but you got it, Doc.
God, but that's it. So it says, and I'm gonna put this in the chat. If y'all got ChatGPT, just click on it. You got to be signed in though to see the conversation. But the trigger events, the point is, any event could trigger civil war now that everything is in place. In some of the events, it says assassination, contested election, economic crash, a major court ruling, or government force used on civilians. Let's go ahead and play this video real quick because Esau, he want to become God right now. That's his point. That's the point of the digital system.
bring heaven on earth. That's not how that works. But I think immunization of the eschaton.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of what I see them trying to do. They're creating a simulacra of Earth. So they believe that they're going to achieve godlike status, and they will recreate and terraform Earth into a simulacra. And they believe this will bring about a utopia. Of course, anybody who has read their Bible knows that you can't bring heaven on earth. That's not how that works. But I think they truly believe that it will be a utopia. I personally.
You can't literally, heaven ain't gonna come from earth, but the kingdom of heaven, which is the rulership of Yahweh Shai and his people, the Israelites, will be on earth. I just have to, correct that.
Yep.
But Yahweh Shai did say that you won't see the actual kingdom or physical building floating from the sky, but we will rule on this very earth, man.
I think it will be a dystopian hellscape, but that's kind of where they're heading, and you can see it. Everything is moving into a synthetic variant, right? We no longer have real food. I was just complaining. I've been a little bit off social media this past week, trying to take a little bit of a breather before we jump right back into everything. But I did post this morning. It was just so frustrating that it's like you can't even go shopping, for clothes anymore without, everything is so crazy expensive and nothing is real. Like you're paying, through the roof for plastic, and which is toxic. All this talk of like microplastics going into your. And I did a like rant a few years ago about this with workout clothes. I was just so annoyed because.
All right, we're gonna go to this one. This Catherine Austin Fitz, right? Was she more qualified? Now, this a beautiful line back to this article that Elder Yashawamba brought out about the Epstein effect, say goodbye to globalization and hello to technocracy. This on point, and she always on point. Now, the title
is bad.
Yeah, she on point.
Yeah, she know her shit. You got it.
Yep, I hope she is like, shoot. she might, Hey, yeah.
She look German to me.
She like Miss Doubtfire.
But Lynette Zane, that she might be. I don't know, but yeah, Lynette, that's my girl right there.
Yeah, she get down. But it says so.
Well, yeah, you got it.
It says and we can end it off on this one, Elder Tazapah. It says the title is "The Old System Being Destroyed and Technocracy to Replace It." And you know what's the beauty of this video? Everything she's saying is so on point that you would think this was put out a couple of days ago. This video is from a year ago. But the point we want to play this because watch what she said a year ago, and a year later, have not this happened. And now that we here, she gonna say it's two things that they need to happen. Now, imagine this a year ago, and we hear it already. A year later, she said there's two things that need to happen: a digital ID to finish it, and a CBDC. Are they not pushing digital IDs in the world? And what's going to bring the CBDC? It could be a catastrophic event. We right here. Let's go ahead and play it.
Cooperation and trust brings trade, which brings prosperity. The more people distrust and the more agreements break down. And that was the global trade system. The United States everybody was dependent on the United States to run the Bretton Woods trade system and to keep an open trade model going. And as long as the US was willing to play the global cop, and it worked fairly well, the US allies were protected. Now the US allies are waking up and saying, wait a minute, we can't depend on that open trade model. What's next? And that's why there's so much concern about what a new administration might do. No one is quite clear.
Do the reciprocal tariffs improve that situation in the sense that, per President Trump's words, the US has been treated very unfairly? And I had a look at some of the tariff figures, and it really is astounding when you look at, what other countries benefit from this deal.
That in the future, it has to change what it's doing and how it's doing. And part of what you're watching, the new administration, is they're saying, with the new technology, we don't need the old tool. We're going to shift to a multipolar model. That's number one. Number two, we're going to make sure the nationalists are in charge, not the globalists. So it's a different syndicate within the uniparty. You still got the deep state and the uniparty. It's just a different syndicate. Okay, so we're gonna shift to a national model, just like Putin has, and just like Xi Jinping. If you go to the G20 meeting, Xi Jinping and Putin and Modi and the whole bunch committed loyalty to the BIS control model. But they don't want globalists in charge of their country. They want a national layer in charge.
I'm gonna stop it real quick because I typed that in on ChatGPT real quick because this also second Ezra 15 because it
of their
says that,
country.
that
So the
nations gonna start fighting against each other and forget the legitimized government and start see who could lead the new way of doing things. So I just typed in on ChatGPT difference between globalization and nationalism. It says globalization, because that's what it's going to be. That's what it's coming to with the technocrats. It says globalization is the idea that countries should be interconnected and integrated. It says it promotes free trade between nations, open borders for goods, capitals, sometimes labor, and international cooperation. Nationalism is the idea that a nation should prioritize its own sovereignty, culture, economy, and citizens first. Strong border, so on and so forth. But the point is that second Ezra 15. They're forgetting a global way of doing things, the legitimized government, and now they fighting to see who's gonna be the head of the new world, man. This all Bible prophecy. But that was it. You was about to say something other Tazapah?
Oh man, the elder had me laughing. Yeah, they was at the club smoking. I see you had pulled up the comment. The water, pouring. Yeah, they was smoking and drinking at the club, man. So yeah, they threw. This whole place is through.
That section in a hookah.
God.
Nationalists are pushing it. And essentially what they're saying is, given new technology, we don't need the old control tools like USAID. We need new control tools. And so what they're doing is they are shifting from the old control tools and they're building new control tools. And they're getting popular support for doing that by saying, oh, all that old stuff was corrupt. Well, the new stuff is even more corrupt. And I'll give you the perfect example. The greatest corruption in the United States, or at the very heart of the corruption since fiscal 1998, is the U.S. refusing to obey its financial management laws. And it got so bad, Maria, that in the last Trump administration, Trump promulgated a policy called FASB 56, which said, okay, we can keep secret books. And so since the last Trump administration, the books of the United States have been secret. Clearly, the uniparty, that's a uniparty policy. Biden didn't change it back. And Trump hasn't said a word, okay? Not a word about the secret books. So Trump is talking about radical transparency. If you have FASB 56 in place, you don't believe in any transparency. You are a total secret. Okay, now, before they instituted FASB 56, we know that 21 trillion was missing. Now, if you listen to the Doge initiative, they're talking about cutting the annual expenditures $2 trillion.
Yes.
They're not talking about where is the 21 trillion and how do you get it back.
Right.
So they're not mentioning, so if you want to return the United States to a fiscally sound basis, the first thing you do is you go over and you'd audit DOD, Treasury, the Treasury accounts and the DOD and HUD accounts at New York Fed and HUD. You do those 4 or 5 audits and you'd figure out who got the 21 trillion and you get it back. You'd put it on the balance sheet. Nobody has said Bo Peep or is mentioning any of that. And they're certainly not canceling FASB 56, which is to say they're simply looking to replace the old corruption with new corruption.
Looking to replace the old corruption with new corruption.
Or I shouldn't say corruption, new control tools.
New control then.
Now,
Right,
if you look at
what I was about to say.
what I'm trying to focus people on, all the things they're putting into place, the nuts and bolts of building the control grid. So if you look at digital technology, we've been building more and more control of the financial system for years, and CBDC and the digital ID is sort of the last piece to be put in place.
I gotta play that back. CBDC and the digital ID and CBDC is the last 2 things to be put in place. Now, we know that ain't the last thing to be put in place. It's all gonna lead to the MOTB, the RFID chip. But as far as the whole system and everything being finalized to bring that, these are the last 2 things they need: a digital ID and everybody financially to be linked to this grid, man, to the system. Then after that, they could bring whatever. Once you link with as far as your identity
Right.
to the digital
Right.
grid, and once your financials is linked to it too, where everybody ain't dealing with dollars, like everything around you is digital, they can bring that MOTB. It ain't nothing else to wait on. That's the last two things that we need for this thing to be mandated, man. And the point is, look around. You already can't fly without the digital ID unless you're gonna pay that $40 or something like that. 45.
Really, yeah, really, she just described the MOTB.
Mm-hmm.
Really, a CBDC and digital ID, that's gonna be your that now it's gonna come out as separate, but they're gonna put them all together in one convenient chip for everybody.
Yep.
And they're gonna get that. I don't see it getting much life.
No. Nope.
They're gonna push it, but I don't see it getting much life. They got to come on with this MOTB. He ain't got no time. Shit, they keep pressuring Iran, and you know, people getting restless around the world. They got to come on with it. That was it.
Right.
You got something?
I got a real quick one. But you're right about that. He really ain't gonna have time. This Job 20 and verse 20. It says, surely he, talking about the wicked, when you go up in the chapter, surely he shall not feel quietness in his belly. It says, he shall not save of that which he desired. There shall none of his meat be left, and therefore shall no man look for his goods. Here it is. It says, in the fullness of his sufficiency shall he be in straits. And that's where we at right now. And we know it's gonna be a little closer to where we at right now. But when Esau think he about to fulfill his new world order, right? And we're gonna read the next verse too, right? But the times that we're in, the Lord making things difficult for him, man. People see him for who he is now. The prophets outing him, his secrets out, his plans out. Things are being made difficult for him. They fussing, they ain't got time. The Lord making time short. And this go with 2 Ezra 15, because as he in the process of going to war, as he in the process of trying to force a digital system, it says the people was going to revolt. That's kind of what they're saying right here. Job 20 and 22. In the fullness of his sufficiency, he shall be in straits, and every hand of the wicked shall come upon him. Come on, man. And that's the working class. What that word is? I'm all. The working class.
Right.
The common person
talking about Esau, Edom, because they are the wicked. They ain't talking about them. That word in the Hebrew, the paleo, is imal, which, as the brother said, you're right. That's the laborers, as you stated, working class. Also sufferers, the sufferers. So the working man is suffering, you know, hard, heavy right now. And as just as we was going into, people getting fed up. And when people don't have nothing else to lose, they lose it. But you got it out.
I'll finish it. It says, so when the people revolt, it says, and when he is about to fill his belly, so when he think he about to bring forth the MOT, and look, some people go get see him, but when he think it's really gonna pop like he wanted to, when he is about to fill his belly, the Most High shall cast the fury of his wrath upon him and shall rain it upon him while he is eating. It ain't he gonna start his new world order and try to begin his digital system, but he ain't gonna finish it. The point is, you know how close we are. He already started it. We at this point. And if he ain't gonna finish it, what that mean? We right there. We right there. All we gotta do is wait on a couple more events or all help something, and we right there, man. You got some other types of pop out? I play like 2 more minutes of it, and that's it.
No, you good.
The most important thing you need is a digital ID.
Right.
You know, that's the next big step. And if you look at what shouldn't say corruption, new control tools. Now, if you look at the pieces I've written, what I'm trying to focus people on is all the things they're putting into place, the nuts and bolts of building the control grid. So if you look at digital technology, we've been building more and more control of the financial system for years. And CBDC and the digital ID is sort of the last piece to be put in place. The most important thing you need is a digital ID.
Right.
You know, that's the next big step. And if you look at what they're doing in both digital ID, but the other pieces,
It's like it. What people don't know, everybody really already got a digital ID. When you look, especially, I don't know if it's for everywhere, but your car bond put me on. In Texas, if you got that yellow star in the corner, or your driver's license, you already got it. You already got people. A lot of people already got it unknowingly, but
you need to support a digital ID and surveillance network, and you know, like the data centers that they're proposing with Stargate, same as you're getting in Australia. You know, if you break it down and look exactly what they're building all the different pieces. One of the most important pieces after the digital ID you need to build to institute the control grid is you need to put the central bankers in charge of fiscal policy. And what you're watching with Doge is an effort to basically cut Congress out. And that, you know, it's not just Doge. This has been building for a long time, because remember, what you've done is you've tried to so scare the people in Congress with death threats, with physical harassment, with other forms of harassment, with control files, with bribes, all the different tools. You're trying to put Congress in the corner so that ultimately the central bankers can run fiscal policy as well. And what does that mean? It means taxation without representation, and means the people's representatives have no say in how the money, you know, gets allocated or spent. So part of what you're watching is sort of taking a saw to the control of Congress of the expenditures under the Constitution, and you're basically trying to saw your way through it. And if they're successful, you're basically, you know, along with refusal to obey the financial management laws, you're basically destroying the Constitution. And that is the thing we cannot permit. You know,
the legitimate government.
You just cannot permit that to happen. So part of what you're watching is, you know, we have to have radical change. It's not any new coming in administration's fault that we have to have radical change. The question is that change going to be to newer, more centralized control, or is it going to be returning to constitutional government? Everything I see, with rare exception, and there are some exceptions and they're good ones, you know, this team is building the central control grid.
So
I'm gonna play it back a couple seconds, because think about that, and because she says either two ways it can go. Either they can go back to the Constitution, or they gotta take it there to the digital system. And we just read 2nd Ezra 15. They forgetting the old legitimate way of doing things, man. So we see, according to prophecy, which way it gotta go. It gotta go digital.
Radical change. It's not any new coming in administration's fault that we have to have radical change. The question is that change going to be to newer, more centralized control, or is it going to be returning to constitutional government? Everything I see, with rare exception, and there are some exceptions and they're good ones, you know, this team is building the central control grid.
Boom. And what team she talking about? Doge. So Trump was put in place, him and the technocrats, to build the central control grid here in Babylon the Great, man.
Right.
That's what we watch it taking place. But you got it. That was it, Elder Tazapah. You got it.
That's it. It take away the rights of the people.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's it. He had nothing. You want me to close it?
Yeah, you got it. You can take us out. And shit, the water taller Akim Akwatu tuned in. Y'all watch my shop like a thumb. But y'all ain't had that nose.
Yeah. The water to y'all for tuning in, man. We pray that you all were edified. I ain't got nothing. So with that, we're gonna close out. We're gonna give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh. No honors to the apostles, elders, and bishops of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings unto the 144,000 and the rest of the elect. To the next one, y'all stay up, man. Stay diligent. Much love. Shalom.
Yeah, shalom. The water for tuning in.